Hey guys, I'm Stefan, a mechanic here at Beachbikes, and today I'm going to show you how to install fenders onto a Firmstrong urban bicycle. Now when you order the fenders, it's going to come in a kit of one front fender, one rear fender, and an assortment of hardware. You're going to get 3 fender struts, 7 6mm bolts, 6 7mm bolts, and 6 6mm nuts. You'll also need some tools. You'll need an 8 and a 10mm socket. In my case, I have it all on one tool. And a Phillips head screwdriver. In my case, I'm going to be using a low profile 90-degree Phillips head screwdriver. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your rear fender and you're going to start by putting your fender struts onto the fender. To do this, you'll want to take one of the 6 7mm bolts, put it through one of the 4 holes. Go ahead and lay your fender strut right on the top of it, just like that. Take a nut and just go ahead and finger tighten it. And you're going to want to do this for the remaining 4 holes. So I'll go ahead and do the next one real quick. Okay, now you're going to want to actually tighten the strut completely to the fender. For this, you're going to need your 8mm socket and your Phillips head screwdriver. So what I like about the low profile is that you're able to hold it pretty tightly. The 8mm straight up in the top, and just go ahead and tighten that all the way down. And again, you're going to want to do this for all 4 of the bolts. Alright, once you've tightened all of them down, it's time to attach the rear fender onto the bike. Now for this, you're also going to need to use one of the 6, or now the remaining 3 7mm bolts. You can go ahead and move your rear fender away for now. If your tire's inflated, you're going to have to deflate it. If you're in the process of building your bike, the tire will probably be already partially deflated. So in my case, I'm going to have to deflate the tire. And the reason why we have to deflate the tire is that there is what's called an eyelet on the back side of the tire. You can see it in between your seat tube here and the rear tire. It's tucked in right there, and that's what's really going to anchor the rear tire on. I'm sorry, not the rear tire, the rear fender. So you're just going to go ahead and lay the fender through just like that. You're going to take that bolt, and for now you're just going to kind of go ahead and pull the tire back and just go ahead and try to finger thread this bolt through that eyelet. There we go. All right. So this is also where the 90-degree low profile wrench comes in. It makes it real easy to reach in there. And you don't have to tighten it all the way just yet, but just enough to kind of get it started. And let's say you still have a screwdriver and you don't have a low profile, just pull the tire aside, and with the regular screwdriver you can actually still reach in and continue to tighten this bolt down. But so we left it a little bit loose, and the reason for that is now you're going to take 4 of the 6 7mm bolts, and you're going to attach the fender strut to these eyelets here in the frame. So I'll start out with 2. In this case, I'll switch to just a regular Phillips head. Bottom of the strut has this hole right through there. Go ahead and put that in. Line it up with the eyelet. And then you can just kind of tighten it down. Don't have to tighten it down all the way because you still have 3 others to attach. Then you're going to want to do this for the other side as well. Now you can go in and completely tighten down all those bolts. I like to use the 10mm socket. It gives you much more power when you're driving in these bolts. So you just put that right over the top and you just crank it down. And once you have all 4 of the struts anchored to the frame of the bike, you're going to want to come in and finish up tightening the one that's attached to the bottom of the frame in between the tire. And you want to do that till it's nice and snug as well. Go. Alright, so your rear fender is done. That is the more difficult of the 2. You're going to do the same sort of thing now with your front fender. Again, the same sort of bolt that you used for the rear one through the hole. Lay your strut on top of that and go ahead, finger tighten with the nut. And there's only 2 holes in order to wish to do this for your front fender. Then once you have that attached, go ahead and completely tighten the strut down to the fender with the 8mm socket. Since you have that tightened down, it's time to mount it to the bike. In this case, you're going to have to take off the front reflector for the time being. So 10mm nut in the back, Phillips head screwdriver on the front. Go ahead and remove that because we actually need this bolt to anchor the front fender on. So in order to mount this, you're going to want to keep the front reflector through first. Go ahead and thread it through. And then this fender is going to just go slide right through there through the forks. And in the back, you'll see this tab. Go straight through the bolt that it came with. Go ahead and put the washer and the nut that it came with right back on, just like that. Just thread it enough so it doesn't come loose. You're going to want to anchor your struts to the bike first before you do any further tightening. So you're going to take your last 2 bolts, and the eyelets on this one are on the back side of the fork. Same sort of thing you did with the rear one. Slide it through your strut, walk it down to the eyelet, and tighten it down. Same thing for the other side. And you're going to finish up the tightening with the 10mm socket. Both sides. And then you're going to want to finish tightening up the top of the fender. Same sort of thing, 10mm socket, Phillips head screwdriver. And that's it. You have successfully completed installing fenders onto your Firmstrong Urban bicycle. Hey guys, I'm Stefan, a mechanic here at Beachbikes, and today I'm going to show you how to install fenders onto a Firmstrong Urban bicycle. Now when you order the fenders, it's going to come in a kit of 1 front fender, 1 rear fender, and an assortment of hardware. You're going to get 3 fender struts, 7 6mm bolts, 6 7mm bolts, and 6 6mm nuts. You'll also need some tools. You'll need an 8 and a 10mm socket. In my case, I have it all on one tool, and a Phillips head screwdriver. In my case, I'm going to be using a low profile 90-degree Phillips head screwdriver. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your rear fender, and you're going to start by putting your fender struts onto the fender. To do this, you'll want to take one of the 6 7mm bolts, put it through one of the 4 holes, go ahead and lay your fender strut right on the top of it, just like that. Take a nut and just go ahead and finger tighten it. And you're going to want to do this for the remaining 4 holes.